welcome to the Get Fit with Jodelle update. So I am Jodelle as usual, and I'm sure you're all wondering about month 3, even though this is technically about month 4 for me because I've kind of been slacking on making my updates. But I wanted to put together a video for you to kind of blow your mind today. That's my intention, is to tell you what's going on with my all meat protocol. But more than that, tell you where I'm headed next. So it's going to be kind of a shocker today. I'm going to be talking to both communities today, both the carnivore community and the vegan community. But more importantly, I'm talking to everyone today. So no matter what your style of eating is, which is kind of the topic of today, I think you're really going to appreciate this podcast. I think in a Cliff Notes version, we're going to come together after this podcast, okay? And that's my intention, is to really stop the bashing on both sides of the community and treat each other with respect and know that we are all individuals on this planet, as unique as our fingerprint. And so we all have diverse needs, and to respect the needs of one individual that may be clearly different from another. So before I get too much down that rabbit hole, I wanted to start with what's my WOE? Okay, so we've all heard this in the community, that your WOE, your way of eating. And lately mine has been purely carnivore, and still so. Like, I really am enjoying eating meat 2 to 3 times per day and eating lots of fat with that and animal products. That resonates with my body. On another scale, there's been a time in my life when I went through a raw vegan month, and some things got better, some things got worse. It didn't really fit for me. On another scale, there was a time in my bodybuilding days where I was completely low fat and high protein and did the whole chicken breast and broccoli thing. And that got me in the best shape of my life. There's videos of me on stand-up paddling TV where you can see my body was chiseled, and I looked my best, but I felt my worst, if that makes sense. On that diet, I had severe depression and anxiety, more so anxiety than depression, I should say. But it was a day-to-day struggle to feel really good, but yet I looked good, but on the inside I was miserable. So kind of what I wanted to talk about today is the fact that, what's your WOE? What's the time in your life that you felt the best, the most optimal? What were you doing? And not just what were you eating, because today we're going outside the box a little bit with maybe nutrition isn't as important as we think it is. Yeah, shocker, okay? Because I'm a nutritionist saying this to you. But let's step aside and look from, I love mitochondria. I love to study mitochondria. I love to talk mito hacks, if you will, instead of biohacks, because it's all about this little energy, this jumping bean of energy that's within every cell of our body. And we're made of trillions of cells, and virtually, and not all, but virtually every cell has mitochondria in it. And we need to look to that. We need to enhance those to enhance our overall health. Most of the diseases of today are mitochondrial disease. And so if we look at the aspect of mitochondria from a nutrition standpoint, the way that you affect your mitochondria and enhance it has only about 1/3 to do with nutrition. Okay. And I wish I could pull up something that really specified that. But based on what I've been looking into, I can dissect it and say 1/3. And 2/3 has to do with all of the things I'm going to be talking about today outside of nutrition, outside of exercise. So that's why I wanted to say, what's your WOE? Choose that, whatever that is for you, whether it's vegan, whether it's carnivore, whether it's lacto-ovo-vegetarian, whether it's you feel really great eating eggs, but that's the only protein you feel great eating, or whether you are really great at food combining and you can get adequate amino acids from beans and rice, and it resonates with you and you have no ill effects from that. That's great. Stick to that. We want to focus on, instead of bashing each other, appreciate our differences. Appreciate that some of us have blonde hair and some of us have brown hair. Appreciate that some of us are of a different ethnic group and others are of their own, my door just opened, of their own genetic ancestry. We all are as different as our fingerprint, like I mentioned. And instead of bashing each other, I really want us to get together and respect our differences and then say, what can I do instead that will really optimize my health outside of nutrition? Because if we think about it, and I'm going to go into some studies here in just a second, You can look up on any study, PubMed or anything, and find benefits to every style of eating, okay? And you can know people in your life. You can know really healthy meat eaters. You can know really healthy vegans, and they thrive on that. There's cultures around the world that don't eat a lot of carbohydrates, and they thrive on that. But there's also cultures that do eat a lot of carbohydrates, and they thrive on that. And that's okay. The bottom line is it really has nothing or very little to do with the nutrition. The things I'm going to be mentioning is what it has more to do with. So, but before I get into that, before I get into kind of like the mito hacks and stuff like that, I want to bring up just some studies to show you that whatever your WOE is, whatever your way of eating is, it's okay. There's benefits to more of these different styles of eating than we can come to appreciate. So the first one I'm going to take you through, let me just pull up my screen here, is basically about the dietary proteins in older populations. Sorry, I'm still not so great at sharing my screen. Dietary proteins in older populations and what that means on a high protein diet for older populations. So as we can see here, this was a study up on the academic .oup, you can look up .com, and it's the greatest risk reductions were found among those with higher protein intakes combined with either higher physical activity, more skeletal muscle mass, or lower BMI. This study demonstrates that dietary protein intakes above the current RDA may slow functional decline in older adults. I really liked this, so you can look up the title of it was Dietary Protein Preservation, blah, blah, blah. You can see that on your screen. I really liked this because this touts that protein is important, and we can all agree on that, okay? If we're still going to talk from a nutrition standpoint, we can agree that protein is important, right? But you can get protein from virtually every source of food. Some might be obviously lower than others, and plant-based diets, it is harder to get protein, but it's still doable. So I wanted to bring that up as well. Okay, so still kind of on the meat side of things, I wanted to show you the next study that I found, and it's more of an article that you can look up based on Georgia Eads. Let me come back to sharing my screen again. Georgia Eads is a really prominent researcher, so if you ever want to know all of the happenstances behind a low-carb, high-protein way of eating, you can look up her site, which is diagnosisdiet.com. And she was talking in this study about meat and heart disease. So there was a group in Alaska that they tested, these inhabitants of Alaska. And basically, after they went through the testing of finding this hunting culture that really focused on a all-meat diet, or very, carbohydrates accounted for only 15 to 20%, and that was coming from the glycogen in the meat, basically. And grain products were scarce, although sucrose was not unknown. That said that researchers found the incidence of heart disease among Point Hope residents was 10 times lower than in the general Caucasian population in the United States. Okay, so the reason I like this, and you can go on to read about the triglycerides too, but the reason I like this study is because this is a culture that thrived. Now, I'm not Alaskan, so maybe I wouldn't thrive on this, okay? One thing we have to consider outside of nutrition, but kind of alongside nutrition, is what's your ancestry? Where did you come from? Have you ever done your 23andMe and found out where you might have an idea that, yeah, I think I'm French and German. Oh, are you? Like, have you found out? Like, it might be good to really find out for sure. And then go back to what they ate. You might find that a lot of Northern European cultures, like what I am, they did include some carbohydrates, and they did really well on it. And they were from the earth carbohydrates, but they also did a lot of meat. Okay. There was a really balanced approach of what they had access to. Even if we go back as far as the Bible, I mean, our first forefathers, basically, they talk of bread in there, but obviously they made it from their hands. They made it from the flour that they ground themselves. But they talk of fatty meat, that they would consume and that let the smoke of the fire go up to their creator to as a pleasant aroma. There was talk of the Daniel fast, where people did only vegetables. So there's been a well-rounded amount of cultures since the beginning of time that have kind of found their own way. And that's why it's important outside of nutrition, but kind of alongside nutrition, to say, what's my ancestry? You know, what am I geared for? What's my DNA made for? I think people forget about that. But someday I'm going to write a document about it, because I've already got half of it finished, just looking into every culture and their native foods. It was really interesting. So vegans, stay with me. Vegetarians, stay with me. I'm going to get to you in just a second. But while we're still on the meat subject, I just want those with this style of WOE, this way of eating, to understand that if this works for you, there might be a reason behind it. Okay. So the next study I'm going to go into is from a lady that I just released a podcast with, Dr. Zofia Clemens. And while you could stop looking at me, let me share this real quick. So Dr. Zofia Clemens is a neurobiologist out of Hungary, and I love what she had to say on the podcast. If you haven't watched that, really tune into that and pay attention to what she says about intestinal permeability. So that's leaky gut, which is one of the biggest issues of our day, with regard to still talking nutrition and still talking, diseases of what most people are dealing with. But here's her protocol that I pulled up off her website with I really love this. So the characterization of the Paleolithic ketogenic diet, in her sense, is 70 to 100% animal-based food and 0 to 30% plant-based foods. So you can read through this. This is on her website, but it also attaches to her articles in ResearchGate about, what exactly is their idea of a traditional Paleolithic ketogenic diet. And so it's really fascinating. Even things like black and herbal teas are excluded and no artificial sweeteners, but honey is allowed. So some of the meat eaters out there might be going, oh my God, I would never introduce honey. Well, there's some medicinal purpose to it. So what I'm trying to show you is there is no right way when it comes to nutrition. There is no perfect human diet, because humans are so different in their needs, in their ways of living, and in their structure. So instead of pointing the fingers at who's right and who's wrong, let's say, I appreciate that you are a carnivore and that it works for you. Isn't that wonderful that you found your way? I have a friend that's been a carnivore for 19 years, and she's the epitome of a healthy individual inside and out. But yet, I know people that are vegans that are the epitome of health when you meet them and you talk to them and you see how focused they are with their brain, like they're just on. I know people that are ketogenic, but they only eat plant-based foods. I know people that are ketogenic that eat some plants, but then mostly animal protein, and it works for them. And so I want us to come together and appreciate our differences, and then focus on what the 2/3 we should be focusing on with our mitochondria is really all about. Now, before I get into that, I want to give you vegans and vegetarians a little boost in your morale right now. Before we're still talking nutrition here. So let me get back to my screen to share with you. I really liked this study because I've heard it before, and I wanted to go ahead and look it up again. I follow a lady a lot of times by the name of Barbara O'Neill, and Barbara O'Neill is out of Australia, and I remember her talking about this study. So this is a study from Seventh-day Adventists that really tend to avoid animal-based products. And while they might do small amounts of eggs or things like that, they really stick to mostly plant-based. And one thing they discovered in here was, while limited prospective data is available on vegetarian diets and body weight change, large randomized intervention trials on the effects of vegetarian diet patterns on neurological and cognitive functions, obesity, diabetes, and other cardiovascular outcomes were warranted to make meaningful recommendations, meaning that this, going beyond meatless, the effects of a vegan diet has a lot of benefits. There's another one I wanted to show you. So this is a study focusing, now this seems like more of an N=1, but still this case demonstrated that even top class sporting performance like that of a 3-time Ironman is possible on a vegan diet. It's a matter of personal WOE. Like, what is the WOE that works with your biochemistry? Okay. And outside of that, what were these people doing? Could they possibly have had really great health, whether they were carnivore or whether they were, triple Ironman vegans? what were they doing outside of that? It's not all about nutrition. What other lifestyle practices? We don't know, but I'm about to go into those just to see if maybe they were something that we could all incorporate and think outside the box when it comes to our health with regard to nutrition. So this study, vegetarian vegans and multiple health outcomes. So this was just a study focusing on the comprehensive meta-analysis report of a significant protective effect of a vegetarian diet versus the incidence and or mortality from ischemic heart disease. So that dropped by 25% in the vegetarian diet. Total cancer by 8%. The vegan diet conferred a significant reduced risk, minus 15% of incidence from total cancer. So these are just really cool to see that we've looked up both sides of the story here. We've looked up how meat can be so beneficial for different people, if that's their woe. How vegetarian and vegans can be so beneficial for that body, for that person. And I'm sure many of you have been through different diets and different trials of things and found, yeah, that didn't work for me. Just kind of like I did with the raw vegan diet for a month. But then many of you have found like that one style, that whoa of yours, that's like your body saying, whoa, this works for me. This is resonating with me. And many people in the ketogenic community find this true. You know, you'll hear lots of stories about everything changed. Many people in the paleo community where they're still including lots of carbohydrates, health improved across the board. So it really goes back to bio-individuality. And I want people to remember that we shouldn't all be on the same diet, because the world's plant-based and animal-based needs would drastically change. It's kind of nice that we're all diverse and we have this diversity of food at hand, but it's not the bottom line, and it's not what we should be focusing on. One more study before I move on to what I really want to share with you today. So this, if I flip over, let me pull this down to this really cool study I found. So this is a recent study too, as most of them are that I pulled up. So this was out of Gastroenterology 2017. This was talking about a wide variety of woes here. So if we go down to the conclusion, in a prospective study of patients with type 2 diabetes, we found that diets high in protein, either animal or plant, significantly reduced liver fat independently of body weight and reduced markers of insulin resistance and hepatic necroinflammation. The diets appear to mediate these changes via lipolytic and lipogenic pathways in adipose tissue. Okay, so basically this showed that we know that protein is important. Okay, we know that we need it, but it really didn't matter where they got it from. As long as it was adequate enough, it helped their liver improve. I just really loved that study because there's a lot more out there like that. There's a lot of people that said, you know, with Gerson therapy, they were healed of cancer, which has no meat. Then there's people that go on a ketogenic diet, which is loaded with animal products, that will tell you my cancer went away. It depends on your body's needs and your woe and what works for you. There's even like what foods stress you out to think about eating them. You know, maybe you should consider avoiding those. What foods make you feel like crap after you eating them? Are you eating foods that love you back, basically? You might love that food, but does it love you back? Does that jar of peanut butter make you feel good after a couple spoonfuls? If it doesn't, you should probably let it go. That's not your woe, okay? And so to end that aspect of this talk is to say, rather than bashing each other, I really want us all to say, you know, I appreciate that yours is different from mine, but let's talk about this other thing. Do you do this? Do you try this? Do you think outside the box with your mitochondria as far as sunlight? Okay. We are humans after all, and I think we've forgotten that we can go outside because we've become an indoor nation. And so I really want to talk to you today about some stuff that's super important when it comes to mitochondria health. And it's everything I'm going to be mentioning to you is 2/3 of really optimizing your health. It's not nutrition. And you're hearing this from a nutritionist. Okay. So basically I wanted to bring up the fact that if to each his woe, right? So instead of to each his own, to each his woe, find the one that works for you. But then let's really talk about what matters in life is human biology, movement, circadian rhythm, connected to each other, to the earth, to mankind. it's not your woe as much as it's your what, okay? What I kind of coin your way of truth, okay? Instead of your way of eating, what about your way of truth? What's true for you? What do you know as a human that needs to happen for you, okay? You know that you need to eat, right? I mean, people have lived for over a year without eating, but it's important. So find that. You know that you need to drink water because you won't live very long without drinking water. So we can all agree on that. We can all agree that we need protein, but it doesn't really matter where it comes from, basically. And we can all agree that we need sunlight, okay? And maybe dermatologists won't agree with that, but at the end of the day, what did this human race start out as? Outside. We didn't have homes. We didn't have cars. We didn't have businesses. We were outside. We were made on the earth barefoot to walk around the earth in the sunshine. Okay, so regardless of what you think about skin cancer, that's a whole nother topic. But really, we need to know that we are geared for the sun. We make vitamin D from the sun. We need to be outside. We need fresh air. How human is it to be inside an office building with no window exposed or no windows to open, or like hotels that you visit and you can't open the window, but yet you're stuck in this stagnant recycled air? How human is that? Okay, and I'm just giving you some ideas to think outside the box when it comes to our health. You know, you've seen people that are very pale and they go and get their blood tested and their vitamin D is really low. They've got all these chronic diseases, mitochondrial diseases, and it just begs to differ. What if nutrition doesn't really matter? What if they ate the world's best diet, but they never saw the sun? What if they never went outside? They never got fresh air. Would they really be healthy? Kind of something to think about. So circadian rhythm, what if somebody eats the world's best, whatever the perfect diet is, such as, you know, the Paleolithic ketogenic diet that would heal their cancer? Would it really, if they stayed inside and stared at a TV all day with blue light exposure that humans weren't made for? Would it really, if they used, their environment was full of chemicals, things like cleaning products and, you know, the smokestack next door and the cell phone tower that's right outside their home? And again, they never go outside. And so they're always breathing that stagnant air. Would they really heal? Or are they kind of sitting in the issue that caused the disease in the first place? I want us to think about what we can do as humans to affect our mitochondria outside of nutrition, because we're made for more than that, okay? Nutrition back in like the beginning of our time was just to fuel us for whatever activity we were doing outside. It wasn't this pleasure that you find on all of the Pinterest websites or Pinterest pages of like, try this new ketogenic recipe, or Food Network showing you the latest, you know, vegan cafe to hit up the next time you're in Portland. Okay, like it's more than that. Like our nutrition is geared for helping us to do the things in life that we as humans are supposed to do. It doesn't have to be the end all be all. So circadian rhythm. What if this individual who's sick but has the perfect diet doesn't go to bed when they should, and they're up till 2 a.m. and then they wake up at 6? You know, they're getting like 4 hours of sleep. Are they really going to end their disease by just changing their diet? Probably not. What's their way of truth? What do they need to focus on? What if they never set foot on the earth and connect to the electrons, the free electrons that we get from the earth, from grounding and earthing? Okay, so think about the typical person gets up, they live in a, you know, standard home that has elevated surface off the earth and, you know, hardwood floors or something like that, where they're walking around, they put their shoes on, they are outside for 2 seconds walking to their car. Maybe their car's in the garage, so they never even have to go outside. They get in their car, which is not grounded, it's up above the earth. They drive to work, they get into their office. They might walk into their office for like 2 minutes outside, or maybe 30 seconds to get into their office. They sit in artificial blue light, focused on a screen all day long. They don't get outside. They don't get fresh air. The air is recycled. They're not touching the earth because they're up on maybe the 3rd floor of an office building. And then they go home, they get in their car, they go back home, they do the same thing. And they never connect. They never put their feet on the earth. They never go outside and look at the sun. They never take a breath of fresh air outside. These are the things I want us to start talking about. These are the things that matter. It's nutrition is here or there. It's like, what works for you? What's your woe? But what's your what? Your WOT, your way of truth. As far as human biology, human movement, what humans were made for, okay? That's what I want people to start focusing on. What's your vitamin P level? And I'm not talking nutrition now. I'm talking pleasure, passion, purpose. This is what I work with my clients on. I'm like, yeah, here's a meal plan. Fine. Follow it if you want to. But today we're talking about what's your passion? What are you interested in? You get up and you take care of all the needs of the family, or you go into the office and you take care of work and you're a workaholic. When do you stop? When do you have pleasure? When do you go paddleboarding? When do you go play tennis with your friends? When do you go and hike in nature and get that exposure to vitamin N, nature, when's the last time you put your feet in cool water of a stream and just sat there with your feet in the water? This is like pleasure and passion. Like, what are you passionate about? What's your hobby? What do you love to do? What do you, outside of like something that's numbing out to electronics, do you like to sew? Do you like to run? Do you like to plant a garden? Like, what's your passion? What's your purpose? How are you affecting the earth? How are you going to leave it better than you found it? It's not about what recipe you're making for dinner tonight. It's about how do you show the people in your life that you're going to leave this legacy of love, this legacy of I'm making a difference in the world. Okay, these are the things that are the way of truth. This is what I'm talking about, people. It does not matter what you eat. It matters what you're doing with your human biology, okay? So thank you for putting up with my passionate rant here. I'm going to go into some strategies for optimizing health outside of diet and exercise that all of us, no matter what our woe is, can embrace, okay? And this is what we can start connecting with rather than bashing each other. Okay, eliminating Wi-Fi and blue light when it's not needed. Okay, blue light causes insulin resistance. And you can look that up by a neurosurgeon named Jack Kruse. He's got a ton of blogs on this. But basically it makes sense. This blue light coming from our devices, from our cell phones, from our iPads, from our dual monitors at our workstation, this is causing a low level of insulin resistance happening. What it does is it dehydrates your body. Okay, when your body's dehydrated, you have trouble pulling the minerals in and out of the cells. Those minerals are responsible for keeping the cells open to receive insulin. And on top of that, blue light is very, it robs energy of your body. It takes a lot of energy for your body to put up with the demands of a computer or a cell phone, because we are electric beings and these are electric products and they rob us of energy. And so when that happens, what does it cause us to do? Eat more. Okay. Why have we become such a nation that's so focused on food? It wasn't really a big deal until televisions and then cell phones started coming around, and then cell phone towers are on every other corner of the street. And now all of us have at least 4 to 5 different devices that we use at any given time to access the world. So instead of going out in the world, so blue light actually causes us to eat more. Lack of sunlight and too much blue light actually destroys leptin, which is your satisfied hormone of telling your body, I have stored fat I can burn for energy. It depletes dopamine, so we kind of become less questioning, less curious. We start to just follow whatever the trend is, and we don't really have the motivation to do anything, so just whatever everybody else is doing, that's what we're going to do. It depletes melatonin, which is, as we know, very important for sleep. And so this is what we should be focusing on. Let's talk about how we can mitigate a lot of this blue light, like me wearing these blue blockers while I'm talking to you, so that I'm not emanating and telling my body it's noon, even though it's not, okay? This is what we need to be talking about and helping each other figure out, is how can I reduce the blue light in my life? How can I only use my TV once in a while when we're going to watch a movie, and maybe that's going to be with our blue blockers on when we do watch it? Or how can I not use my cell phone so much and maybe actually just read a book instead of reading the latest blog, Anything like this. How can I get real full spectrum light from the sun and put my phone and my computer down more, right? Okay, I won't go into too much more on that because I've got videos on that. Plus I'm going to be putting out a lot more of this WOT, this What's Your Truth, like videos. So I'm going to touch on each one of these. Focus on circadian rhythm cycles. That's the next thing I want to talk to you about, because this is according to organ repair in the body. If you want to optimize your health, then you need to be going to bed between 9 to 10 p.m. when your body does its best liver repair between the hours of 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. Our livers are so much of our project manager in our body. And if we want to keep them humming along and sending all the right signals to all the right body parts, we need to focus on getting the sleep that we need to rest and repair that area. All of our organs have different times of day that they really function more optimally. And so we need to consider that circadian rhythm setup. So how about circadian rhythm of when to eat and when not to eat? Okay. When the sun is up, eat. When the sun is not up, don't eat. Many cultures around the world know this. There's no light in a third world village like Vanuatu that I visited several years back when I stayed there for 2 weeks. The sun went down at about 7:30. Everybody went to bed. There is no light in the village. So you don't stay up and play on your smartphone because there's no Wi-Fi. There's no interaction with the world other than just interacting with the world during the daylight hours and then sleeping during the night. Okay. So really good for your body and your digestive system when we're talking circadian rhythm is eating whatever your WOE is during those hours and not eating after the sun goes down. Give that a try. Okay, getting sunlight every day. We are made to be addicted to the sun, not in the sense that I want you out in it for 5 hours getting a sunburn, in the sense that we were made to be put on the earth to get energy from the sun, just like a plant does. We have things like melanopsin in our eyes and in our skin that help manufacture the certain chemicals and enzymes that process in the body that we need. We have the areas of our eye that pull sunlight from the UVA rays and all of the different types of UVA rays that come from the sun and make things in our eyes like serotonin, dopamine, which serotonin is the precursor to melatonin. Going out in the early AM hours of sunlight, like I did this morning, I went outside here and I watched the sun come up and then I let the sun into my eyeballs for the first part of the day. That does so much for the rest of your day, including your night. If you want to sleep well, then go out in the sunlight and let your body manufacture melatonin at the first part of the day, and you'll sleep better at the last part of the day, the nighttime. Okay. Then on top of that, you can buy the world's best vitamin D supplement, but I can guarantee you're not going to see the numbers rise as getting out in the sun every day for maybe 20 minutes and getting sun on as much of your skin as possible. Your levels are going to rise so much faster when you do that. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is red light therapy. So this is something that you can play around with your new vegan friends, even though you're a carnivore, because we're all loving each other now. You can say, hey, did you pick up like a really cool red light somewhere that you use on your thyroid? Because you can actually shine a red light therapy device on your thyroid and you can enhance thyroid production. This is a lesser known fact about someone with hypothyroidism like myself that I've been healing. I have a little handheld red light therapy device that just emits a red light. I wish I had it here so I could show you. But I put it on my thyroid for about 3 minutes. And that's just what I do once a day, just to bump up the activity, the mitochondrial energy. It's kind of a mito hack in the thyroid to get it to function more optimally. And I know that it makes a difference because I have even felt a little like more, I don't know how to say it. I guess I know that it's doing something to my thyroid because I felt a difference in my throat, like in a really weird fluttery way. So that's all I can say about that. But red light therapy can be used for things like cellulite. It can be used for things like, I put it on my adrenal glands too, because I have had in the past a lot of adrenal issues. And it can be used as panels you can get to just stand in front of and help with just energy and skin health. It's been in many dermatologist offices, you'll find it for acne and skin issues to be taken away too. So look into some red light therapy. This is, again, it's a light that comes from the sun, but you can get it in this concentrated form of a red light therapy device. But you know what? Nothing replaces the sun. So again, it's just another aspect of getting sunlight every day. You're actually getting some of that red light, especially at sunset, where it really helps with all that mitochondrial health that we're trying to improve. Okay, cold thermogenesis. I did a 30-day challenge to this to a lot of my followers about a year ago, and people embrace this. And a lot of people still continue it. They're taking their cold showers now because what did we do before water heaters? We bathed in a river, or we bathed just in our shower with cold water, or a bath that just had cold water. Maybe if you were, you had the time to put your little clawfoot bath over some hot coals outside, you might have got some hot water, or you lived close to hot springs. But generally, we bathed in cold water. Our bodies are made to embrace cold sometimes. And this is a great trick to enhance the biogenesis of mitochondria, to enhance mitochondrial function. Okay, before I run out of time, I'm going to run through the rest of these really fast. But these are all, again, things that every human can embrace to optimize their health. So grounding, earthing, gaining those free electrons and negative ions from putting your feet at the water's edge or in a trickling stream, or just going outside your house and finding grass and walking around in it for 10 minutes, or just sitting down in gravel. I don't have grass out here because we just built this home not too long ago, but I've got tons of gravel out there, and rock is conductive. So I just sit in the gravel. It might not be very comfortable for my backside, but I feel so much less anxiety after I do that, especially if I've been on a computer. The best thing I can go do after I've done this is go stand or sit or squat outside on the earth. So earthing and grounding are very beneficial. There's even some things called earth runners that are like grounding sandals, so that when you do have to wear shoes and you have to go to work or have to go to the grocery store, you're kind of always grounding. If you're looking at building a new home, do concrete floors. If you're connected to the earth and you're not up high, you're actually grounding in your own home. So it's kind of cool. Squatting and moving naturally. This is why I like to teach natural movement, because it's more in line with, instead of lifting and doing a bicep curl, which there's nothing wrong with that, but human movement is squatting deep and being on the ground and getting up without using your hands and things like that. Okay, that's natural human movement. And squatting instead of bending over to pick something up. Start practicing things like that. Watch a toddler. They never bend over. They only squat. Okay. Back to, if we were going to talk nutrition, no matter what your WOE is, seasonal changes in the way you eat. So we should never be eating just the same thing constantly all the time. I mean, it does work for some people, but what about a seasonal change and at least finding, let's say you eat meat all the time as a meat eater, but what about finding some local meat that grows locally in this season that you're in, getting it really, really fresh? Or like in the winter when my husband can go hunting, I tried to spend most of the winter eating that deer that we had just gotten versus, buying grass-fed meat off of the internet and having it shipped in from somewhere, and who knows how much older it was than the meat I had it from the fresh kill. Okay, seasonal changes. Or if you're a vegan, look at what's in season during the growing season of each time of year and pick those foods. Okay, our bodies are seasonal. It's all part of that circadian rhythm. So seasonal changes are wonderful. Then, think of what food grows locally as far as plant-based stuff or meat, and try to get it as closely matched to your local, what's available, but also what's your ancestry. If you are of tropical descent, maybe you're African American, or, maybe you were from the Cayman Islands or something like that. Very cool, by the way. You probably do a lot better on tropical fruits that are in season versus somebody like myself who's Northern European, that there wasn't any tropical fruits in my ancestors' days. They had orchard fruits. So think about those kind of things when you're putting your own way of eating together. In your home, full spectrum incandescent lights. This is more closely related to the full spectrum light of the sun. Again, it's all about the sun, so we need to make sure that the sun is what we're getting mostly exposed to, but when we have to be indoors, change your LED lights, change your halogen lights, change your fluorescent lights for sure, to full spectrum, okay? Incandescent lights. Those are closely matched to the sun. Okay, I'll go into more of that in detail in another podcast, but then how about setting an electronic curfew? Most of us, what are we doing before we go to bed at night? Where's your thyroid? Right here, okay? If you have thyroid issues, which mostly the number one prescribed medication right now is Synthroid or levothyroxine, and you're here, where's the radiation happening? Or if you're here on your computer, where's the radiation happening? Right here. If you're going to be on your device, set an electronic curfew, make sure everything goes off at 8 o'clock at night, and then you just read books or something like that. And if you're on your device, maybe it's time to occasionally at least put a scarf around your neck. I know it sounds crazy, but human biology is not to radiate our thyroid. Okay. The other aspect is, where do other people hold their cell phone? I don't know if you can see this, but if I was just sitting on the couch and I'm holding it here, what's it radiating? Right? My stomach. Okay. Why are we chronically low on stomach acid? Why does every client that's been coming to me, I've had to put on hydrochloric acid to build their stomach acid levels up? It's because we really need to focus on these electronics that tend to rule our life. And let's start by, if we have to do them, I understand we live in the modern world. We got to have the smartphone. We got to have the computer. But let's mitigate some of what we're doing. So for every hour that you're on a computer or on a device, Go outside for 5 minutes. This is a great way to get grounding, to get vitamin N, nature, to get vitamin S, sunlight, and mitigate a lot of what we're doing here. And then setting that electronic curfew and telling your family, I'm turning off the Wi-Fi router at 8 p.m. so you can read books, you can play games, you can, watch a movie that doesn't require the internet or Netflix. That's fine. Then on top of that, maybe after hours, putting on those blue blockers. Swanwick Sleep, use Get Fit with Joe, or Get Fit code for 10% off, by the way. That's just my little freebie for you. So Swanwick Sleep or any other place where you can get blue blockers to where when you are on your devices, you're blocking that harmful blue light. Okay, a few more here, and then I'm going to stop for the day to keep this video kind of under control. So stop sleeping with the enemy. If you are going to go to bed, do not take this with you. And if you do, turn it on airplane mode. Okay. This is the enemy because this is radiation. Watch my EMF radiation podcast that's on this YouTube channel and see where I walk around my home with a tri-field meter and show you how much radiation even things like a lamp are emitting. Okay. Drink pure water. I can't say enough about water. Every human, despite what your woe is, you need water. Not LaCroix, not kombucha. Okay. You need water. And the best source is from more of like a glacier or an Arctic source, or something that you can get in your home that's reverse osmosis, but also might put some minerals back in the water as well. Okay. Also, let's talk about connecting face-to-face rather than online. So lessen social media, okay? Set a thing where you only go on Instagram once a day at whatever time of day you want to go on, and you only check your Facebook every other day or something like that. Then start setting dates to connect to people and have coffee and go sit and talk, or go for a walk outside in nature when you're bare feet. You guys could both get grounding together. One of you could be a vegan, one of you could be a carnivore, and you could still be together and get human biology, movement and nature and connection and talking and anxiety relief from being with another human. You're not going to find that on social media. Social media causes anxiety, and every single one of you knows that out there, okay? That's why you'll no longer find me on Facebook. I'm only on Patreon and Instagram and Twitter, because I'm like, those are just so easy that I just can do them every now and then. I don't have to always check in, okay? Forget money and fame that is fleeting and temporary, and work towards effectiveness and helping others, which leaves a legacy. Okay, back to that vitamin P. I can't say enough about it. Doesn't matter how much money you make. What matters is who are you affecting. Okay. Find beauty, appreciation, and gratitude. Instead of being negative Nancy, look around you several times a day and go, wow, that cloud is beautiful. That leaf is beautiful. That girl is beautiful. Okay, find beauty, appreciation, and let that resonate with you throughout the day. Don't live by a cell phone tower. If you do, move. Basic common sense. Something that emits that much radiation that studies are now showing that with living within a quarter mile of one can cause infertility and DNA damage. Mitochondrial disease, by the way, is DNA damage. Then it stands to reason why you don't ever want to be near one. So if you have one in your vicinity, it's time to move. Sorry to be so harsh, but it's true. And then ask questions. Ponder the possibility of someone else's what's our truth, okay? What's our way of really being true to our human biology, and question that. Ponder the possibility of, I wonder what it would be like just to include this one type of meat that I, as a vegan, have thought about several times. Same with carnivore. If you're feeling great eating all meat, but yet sometimes you really, really want to have Brussels sprouts at that one restaurant you go to, what's so wrong if you have a little bit of it, okay? Just know that if it causes you repercussion, you probably don't want to. You're not being true to yourself. But if it doesn't, and it just makes you feel amazing, you're probably okay to have that. And it won't mean that you're not a carnivore anymore. It just means that you're a carnivore that eats some Brussels sprouts now and then, okay? Give up the need to be right, focusing on finding the truth for you, okay? So all of these things help our what? What's our truth, okay? No matter what's your woe. Instead of bashing each other's woe, we need to connect. We need to inquire of each other. Wonder at the possibilities of, is there more than just diet and exercise, okay? In conclusion, I'll be doing more of these videos and these strategies for optimizing human biology. And I'll still work and believe in bio-individuality with each individual that I work with in my practice, okay? Finding them the foods that stress them the less, but more importantly, use the above strategies to help them more than anything, okay? my way of truth is to help, to serve, to teach, and to leave this world a little bit better than I found it, and a little bit happier than I found it, okay? You don't need a book or a magazine to tell you how to feel good. You have experience, and you have a village and a tribe around you to answer your questions. And I'll be part of that if you need me, okay? So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Sorry this was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but now you know what's going on. Just in a nutshell, I have started bringing in just a few things here and there, but I'm still basically all meat. So I would encourage you, again, whatever your way of eating is, that's fine, but let's think outside the box, okay? Especially let's get outside the box and get some fresh air. So that's where I'm going now. I'm going to go get some sun and some fresh air, and leave your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And again, thank you for watching.